Frankly, I thought it was like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. When I was a child, I loved coming to Mass on Palm Sunday because to my childhood ears, the gospel story of Jesus entering Jerusalem sounded a lot like the Macy's Parade that we watched on the black and white Zenith television that my grandparents owned. I pictured a parade on a wide street like Fifth Avenue leading into Jerusalem. I pictured the crowds very orderly on the sidewalks, waving palms. And the gospel said that the people were singing the praises of Jesus. And I wondered, did they bring along a marching band? And now, here comes the East Jerusalem Junior High School Marching Band. And just like Santa at the end of the Macy's Parade, here comes Jesus, there he is, the Messiah. When I was a kid, I thought it was just like the Macy's Parade. Then, I had the privilege of visiting Jerusalem for the first time. And our guide told us on a particular day that we were going to walk on the very route that Jesus followed on Palm Sunday. And so I got excited. We got off the bus and we started to follow Mahar, the guide. But we were not walking on that wide street that I had in mind. We were on a little path that wound its way down the Mount of Olives. Our guide Mahar assured us that archaeologically, this was the road that Jesus took as he came into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. But to me, it just didn't seem right. I'd always pictured an orderly parade, but on this curving little path, the crowd surrounding Jesus on Palm Sunday must have been chaos and confusion. People pushing, children crying, officials worrying that things were going to get out of hand. Sounds like Mass at St. Anthony's. We came out to a little clearing on the side of the Mount of Olives, and from there we could look across the Kidron Valley and see Jerusalem rising up on the hill on the other side. And as we stood there looking, I wasn't even paying attention to our guide anymore because something else was dawning on me. I pictured Jesus riding on that donkey, hearing the people as they praised him. And then I pictured Jesus coming to a clearing like the one I was at and looking up from where he sat on his donkey. And what did Jesus see as he looked across the Kidron Valley to the other hill, to Jerusalem? It is very much what we can see today. From where Jesus sat on that donkey, to the left is the palace of Caiaphas, the high priest. On that Palm Sunday, that palace must be gleaming under the sun. 4 nights later, Jesus would be dragged there in the dark, and the religious leaders would hold a sham trial. Over to the right, from that vantage point, you can see Pontius Pilate's residence. As Jesus sat on that donkey and heard the crowd shouting, "Hosanna," he could look directly at Pilate's fortress, where the following Friday, the crowd would shout, not Hosanna, but crucify him. And as Jesus sat on that donkey and looked across the valley to the city on the other side, he could see the far western wall of Jerusalem. And just behind that wall, everybody knew was a place called Golgotha, where Jesus would die on Friday afternoon. And so, my friends, please understand what this means. As Jesus was surrounded by the crowd on Palm Sunday, who were shouting his praises as he sat on his donkey, looking across the valley to those places in Jerusalem, he could see the places where he would suffer the horrible events of his condemnation and death that would take place in just a few days. In other words, he could see it all right in front of him. And this is what amazes me the most. He didn't turn around. He could have said to the crowds, "Folks, We are heading back to Galilee where we can hide. Jesus did not hide from what was coming. Instead, he kept going forward and saying to the disciples, "Follow me." Jesus literally could see what was coming and he would have turned away, but he went forward, trusting that his Abba, Father, was with him. Now for us, in our own lives, sometimes challenging things happen to us, and they happen suddenly. And we literally say to each other, "I didn't see that coming." And then at other times, we see the hard things that's coming toward us. And our first instinct might be to run away. For instance, you start a new job, and it's great. And then you begin to see how much effort this is going to require. And you're tempted to turn your donkey around. Or, to use a biblical phrase, you're tempted to turn your ass around. Well, actually, I'm quoting the Bible, so don't worry. You're tempted to turn your ass around to go in a different direction. Or you get married, and the wedding is just the easy part. And then you begin over time to see what love is going to require from you. You're going to have to give more than you thought and change more often than you wanted to. Maybe you're even tempted to run away. Someone you love gets sick, and you can see what's coming. The caregiving, the hard tasks. Or maybe you yourself get sick, and you see what's coming. The treatments, the rehab. And you're tempted to say, "Can we go hide?" Or you actually listen to the sermons and the Word of God every Sunday, and you begin to pray more. And you find yourself growing closer to God. And you can see what's coming. Christ is going to ask me. I know he's going to ask me because he does. He's going to ask me to love my enemy. He's going to ask me to care for the poor and to forgive my enemies. He's going to ask me to be chaste, to put people ahead of money, to stop being angry. I know what's coming. I can see it. It is coming. He's going to ask us to do justice, to be honest, to defend human life, to defend the widow and the orphan. You see it coming. You know it is there. It's going to be hard. And we are tempted to turn around and look at the other direction. Or we face death. And every fiber of our being wants to hide. And Jesus, the crucified and risen one, says to us, "Follow me." We are going to do it together. Friends, when you are tempted to flee from what love requires, remember Jesus on that donkey. From his lonely seat on that beast of burden, Jesus looks across the Kidron Valley and he sees what's coming toward him. And the miracle is that he loves you so much that he keeps moving forward. And he says, "Follow me." When you are tempted to run from what love requires, when you are tempted to escape the hard thing that life is clearly handing to you, the crucified and risen one says, "Follow me." We are going to do this together. This Holy Week, this holiest week of the year, we focus on where we should focus always, Jesus Christ, who loved us so much that he did not run from the consequences of loving us. He paid the price. He paid the price to stay faithful. He gave everything to us. He taught us how to stay where we should stay, to go where we should go, and to be who we should be. Turn to him, pray to him, and follow him, because he always leads us through the cross, through death to life. He always gives us the strength to do what love requires.